I'm Anil Kumar, and in this video we will understand what are complementary angles, what are supplementary angles, and how opposite angles are related. Whenever we combine two angles and the sum is 90 degrees, it is called complementary angles. And when you combine two angles whose sum is 180 degrees, then this pair of angles is called supplementary angle, and opposite angles are always equal. So that is what we understand by these terms. Now here is a correction. It could be two or more angles, but what we are trying to say is if sum of angles is 90 degrees, then we call it a complementary angles, right? So that is what it is. So it could be more than two also, but the sum is 90 degrees. If sum of angle is 180 degrees, then we call it supplementary angle. Okay, so that is how we normally say what are complementary and what are supplementary angles. So we look at the sum. So if the sum of the angle is 90 degrees, then we call them as complementary angles. And if the sum is 180 degrees, we call them supplementary angles. So angles could be two or more. So it could be two or more angles. Okay. Now this is important to understand, and that is why we start with this definition. Two angles whose sum is 90 are complementary. That is correct statement. But at times you could have more than two angles, but if their sum is 90, then they all form complementary angles, right? This is what we're trying to understand here. Here is an example. So can you write down angles which form complementary angles? So let's give an example, or as many as you can, from this diagram, complementary angles. Their sum should be 90 degrees, okay? So let's figure out which ones. Now here we have this symbol, it represents 90 degrees. So that clearly represents 90 degrees. It is never written also. It is understood that this means 90 degrees. Now a straight line will be 180 degrees. So if one part of it is 90, the other part has to be 90, right? Therefore, combination of the angles QOP, let's say angle QOP and angle POT, angle POT, will that be complementary? Yes, it will be. Since it is 180, this sum of these two angles is 90, right? So sum of two angles is 90. That's how we get it, right? So that becomes a set of angles which is complementary. So we say angle QOP is complement to angle POT, right? That is how it is. Now let's see if we can find few supplementary angles, right? So let's find supplementary angles from the given picture. You can pause the video and write down possible supplementary angles. Now there are many supplementary angles here. Let's look into this straight line from Q to S. If you see the straight line, then angle QOR and ROS forms a supplementary angle. So that is one set. Let me write these sets here. So the first one, let me write here, QOR and ROS. This is also a straight line. So all angles like POQ and QOR, POQ and QOR, that will combine to make 180 degrees. So that forms set of supplementary angles. How about any other line? Okay, if we talk about this line from that side, then we get QOP, POT and TOS. So that also forms supplementary angles. So QOP QOP, POT, and angle TOS, right? Angle TOS. So these three combined together do form supplementary angles, correct? We could actually write this part as combination of two angles also. That is to say, angle QOT and angle TOS. Well, you could also write QOP and POS. Do you get an idea, right? So, likewise, we can actually write many sets of supplementary angles in this particular case. Now, the question for you is, find the opposite angles. So let's figure out where are the opposite angles. Remember, opposite angles are always equal, okay? So let's find out opposite angles here. Let me mark this with this color, opposite angles. Now, two straight lines, when they intersect, then the lines form, angles formed like this. These are opposite angles, right? So these are opposite angles and they are always equal. So in our case, the angles are angle QOP and angle ROS, angle ROS. Remember, since they are opposite angles, they will always be equal, right? So in this particular case, we have only one set of opposite angles, or do we have more? Well, you could write one more set of opposite angles. Look at this side. Now, these two are intersecting lines. They will form another pair of opposite angles, correct? So we could write that pair as angle QOR, which will be equal to POS, angle POS. You get an idea, right? So a pair of lines, when intersect, you'll get two sets of opposite angles as you've seen here, right? I hope that helps to identify sets of or groups of complementary angles, supplementary angles, and opposite angles. I'm Anil Kumar. You can share and subscribe my videos. Thank you and all the best.